Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're looking at something that really sits at a complex intersection.
It really does.
We're talking about health, family, and, the challenge of filtering information online. We've been handed a resource promoting a, quote, healthier, more natural lifestyle.
And that lifestyle is rooted in nature's wisdom, but with a very, very specific audience in mind.
Yeah.
That's right. The material we're digging into is all about gentle herbal support, and it's customized for neurodiverse families, specifically those navigating autism.
So our mission for this deep dive is pretty clear.
It is. We have to look past the appealing philosophy and really pull off the hard facts. What are the claims, the timelines they're promising, and importantly, what are the safeguards? We're basically trying to find the operating manual they're offering you.
And the hook, the thing you see right away, is all about the sensory experience. It's a category they call sensory relief, and the promise is for gentle herbal blends to ease sensory overload and calm the mind. I mean, for any family dealing with regulation challenges, that phrase, ease sensory overload, it's huge.
It's incredibly powerful because sensory dysregulation can be the engine that drives so much stress in a household.
Yeah.
So what they're doing is positioning their product as, well, a tool for peace.
Okay, so as we go through this, we'll be looking at their safety protocols, the results they say you can expect, and how they tell you to, mesh this with traditional care.
And we're going to give you the unvarnished analysis of their claims based only on what they've shared.
All right, let's start at the beginning then. Their foundation, their story and mission. They talk a lot about providing comprehensive resources and assistance.
And creating an inclusive and empowering environment.
That language to me suggests they're trying to solve a problem that's bigger than just biochemistry. It feels more emotional,
Yeah.
systemic.
Well, what's fascinating is that they clearly understand who they're talking to. Families dealing with autism can often feel really isolated.
Or just completely overwhelmed by advice.
Exactly. So this resource is offering more than just herbs in a bottle. It's offering a community, a supportive story. The stated goals are to facilitate, and this is their phrase, calm, connection, and well-being.
I want to pause on those three words: calm, connection, and well-being.
Yeah.
By leading with that, they aren't selling a drug for a disorder. They're selling a path to better family dynamics. It's a relationship tool.
That's a great way to put it. If the child is calmer, the family feels more connected, and then everyone's well-being goes up. It's a whole system.
And they emphasize enriching lives through compassionate and thoughtful guidance.
Right, and that focus on individualized care and community support is key. They want you to trust the blend, sure, but also the network behind it.
And to make that trust feel more real, they offer up some anecdotal proof. We've got this 5-star testimonial from someone named Anna M.
Ah, yes, Anna M. Her claim is so important because it gives you the success metric they're aiming for. She says the remedies gently eased my child's sensory overload.
Which led directly to peaceful evenings at home.
And there it is. The proof isn't some clinical score. It's the return of peaceful family time. That's an emotional goal that's going to resonate so deeply with their target audience.
Right. And they try to back up that emotional appeal with a little social proof, listing things like 150 plus trusted and 15 loved.
It's a simple but effective strategy. You get the personal story, and then you get these little numbers that suggest a loyal user base.
So it's this dual approach.
It confirms the whole philosophy we were talking about. The physical product, the herbal blend, is designed to work alongside the feeling of community and empowerment. They're selling you a whole system.
Okay, so once you buy into that mission, the next hurdle for anyone looking into this is, credibility. How do they handle the hard questions?
That practical stuff.
Exactly. Safety, ingredients, results. We have to get into the nuts and bolts, which are usually buried in the FAQs.
And this is where we have to be really precise. They use very specific, and I'd say responsible, language. On safety, they say they use gentle, evidence-based herbs suitable for children and adults.
Now, hold on. Evidence-based is a really interesting term to use there.
It is.
Especially next to gentle herbal blends. It implies a level of clinical rigor that, is often different from the world of complementary remedies.
And that raises the big question. What does evidence-based mean in this context? Often it might mean the herbs have a long history of traditional use, or maybe there are some small-scale studies.
Or research on how they work, like calming pathways in the brain.
Precisely. And they do get more specific. The source says all remedies use natural herbs backed by research for autism support. That's a claim tailored right to their niche, who's trying to bridge that gap between natural and scientific.
So it's a promise of both ancient wisdom and modern accountability.
Right.
But for any parent starting a new regimen, the first question is always the same. Timeline. How long before I see something?
And this is one of the most concrete details they give. The source states that most families notice subtle improvements within 4 weeks of consistent use.
2 to 4 weeks is a pretty powerful psychological window. It's not immediate, but it's not 6 months either. It feels manageable.
But I think you'll agree the most important word there is subtle.
Oh, absolutely. Subtle improvements. That's them managing expectations. They're not promising an overnight miracle. They're suggesting small, gradual shifts.
Exactly. And speaking of shifts, they go right at the biggest concern for their audience: managing meltdowns.
What's the exact claim there?
It's very precise. They say certain calming herbs may reduce sensory overload and emotional overwhelm, easing meltdown frequency.
The phrasing there is so critical. They're saying it eases the triggers,
Yes.
sensory overload, emotional overwhelm, and by doing that, it might ease the frequency of meltdowns. They aren't saying it will stop a meltdown that's already happening.
No, it's a prophylactic approach. It's about consistent foundational support, not an emergency rescue remedy.
Which makes sense. But for all this talk about gentle herbs and research, there's one piece of advice they give that seems to anchor the whole thing.
And it's arguably the most important piece of advice they offer.
The professional approval. The fact that they defer to traditional medicine. Why do that if your whole philosophy is based on nature's wisdom?
Because it's a critical layer of responsibility. They state it very clearly. Consult your healthcare provider before starting any new herbal regimen.
And it's not buried in the fine print.
Not at all. It's a core safety instruction. What it's really saying is that this natural approach is meant to complement professional medical care, not replace it. It's smart. It manages their liability and professionalizes their whole approach at the same time.
That is the key takeaway. They provide the philosophy, they provide the product, but they demand that your own established care team signs off on it.
From a learner's perspective, they're saying, we believe in our product, but we respect your doctor. You need their okay. It's an essential counterbalance to all the other claims.
Okay, let's zoom out a bit. We've been focused on the neurodiverse support part of this, but where does this sit in the, the bigger picture of the platform it's on?
Right, so this isn't just some random page. It's part of a larger blog called Healthy Life. And this blog bills itself as a, quote, go-to destination for health tips rooted in nature.
So things like expert insights and easy-to-follow guides.
The whole 9 yards. This sensory relief product is just one track within a much bigger holistic ecosystem.
That makes sense. So they also cover things like
Holistic wellness, sustainable living, boosting your immunity, detoxifying the body. They're positioning the neurodiversity support within a much broader natural health movement.
which suggests they're appealing to families who are probably already inclined to think this way.
I think that's a fair assumption. If you're already interested in holistic wellness, this feels like a natural extension, not a huge leap.
What about the operational details, the logistics? Do they tell us anything?
They do, and it gives us some global context. The resource is promoted as bilingual. It offers both English and Francais options.
English and French. So that immediately broadens its reach beyond, say, just a U.S. market.
And then there's the contact info. There's a French phone number with the +33 country code and an invitation in French to Écrivez-nous pour partager vos histoires.
Write to us to share your stories.
Exactly.
So that suggests a strong operational base somewhere in Europe, probably France, and that might imply a whole different regulatory context for their herbs, which, depending on your perspective, could add a layer of credibility.
That's a very sharp observation. The contact details, the email is yourpaulbovoice.top, and the phone number, along with that bilingual outreach. It all positions them as an accessible international group that's really committed to community feedback.
And just for the record, the copyright on the material is 2025, so we are looking at very current information.
We are. It's a current internationally focused resource built on a very specific philosophy of wellness.
Okay, let's bring this deep dive home. We started by looking at a resource that's promoting this comprehensive philosophy of gentle, natural support for neurodiverse families.
And what we found is that this whole approach is built on so-called evidence-based herbal blends that are aimed squarely at sensory relief.
And they set a pretty concrete expectation for you. Subtle improvements, they say, within 2 to 4 weeks of consistent use.
With the final goal being to reduce that sensory overload and, in turn, ease how often meltdowns might happen.
But the most critical piece we extracted, the real non-negotiable, is that this entire strategy, for all its talk of nature's wisdom,
It all comes down to one thing.
it absolutely requires you to consult a healthcare provider before you start anything. The responsibility is put right back on the user to integrate it safely.
It creates this very careful balance. The natural remedies are presented as these specialized tools for calm and connection, but they exist only under the umbrella of traditional medical oversight.
So, what does this all mean for you? Given the emphasis on evidence-based, that specific 2-4 week timeline, and the absolute requirement for a doctor's approval, the provocative thought we want to leave you with is this.
Yeah, how does this actually fit in?
If this product is seen as a way to proactively reduce triggers and increase calm, how does that best integrate with established therapies? Things like, I don't know, speech therapy, occupational therapy, or behavioral interventions?
Does using this approach make those existing therapies more effective? Or is it just another thing happening in parallel?
Right. Does it help the other work better? Or is it just another piece of a very complicated puzzle that's something for you to really mull over?